Hello, everybody. You're very welcome tonight to our class on the joyful path of good fortune. So you're very, very welcome. I hope you're well. I hope that you've had a good day. And I hope you're feeling a little bit relaxed for this class. So I thought we would begin a little bit similar to last week. We'd begin with just to pacify our mind, a little bit of breathing meditation. And then we could develop that mind, develop that incredible mind of universal compassion, where we'd say before, if the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. We can live extraordinary lives just by changing our intention. Our intention changes, and it goes from ordinary to extraordinary. If our intention changes that we want to wish all living beings to be free from their suffering, and we really meditate on that. Incredible intention, like incredible power, incredible effect on our mind. It's mixing with our mind. Our mind's mixing with this, and with this actual meaning. It's extraordinary, and we can even increase that a little bit by wishing that by the power of this action, of this intention, that we become enlightened for the benefit of every living being, and we can protect. Enlightenment are like reality. I hope that isn't too much to say, but it really is. It's what we're aiming for, particularly with this book. This is the pathway to enlightenment right here. So I thought then that we could pause for the prayers, and again, we could begin to develop our practice and increase our practice of like accumulating merit, of actually requesting blessings and of receiving blessings, really feeling these blessings. And they aren't blessings that come from outside in. We're not like, asking for someone outside in, where it's all inwards. We're completely turning all our attention inwards, and we're mixing our mind with the minds of basically enlightened beings. It's all in, it's all right there. And as soon as we even feel a little bit of that peace develop in our mind, a little bit of calmness, a little bit of tranquility, so of like a stillness, where we're already tuning in to these blessings, this positive energy, this inspiring energy that's right here, and we can tune in to that positive energy of all enlightened beings. I think we were talking before about partly what perhaps we're looking for is maybe answers. Like, what's it all about? Like, who am I? And the answers are extraordinary. So because everything's they're not ordinary. So we just lend ourselves, even if we're a little bit skeptical of this, we just lend ourselves to, perhaps I don't have to do this by myself. Perhaps there are already, there's already an energy or like a source there that I can just tune into. I can tap into that source every moment, every day. So I thought we'd do the prayers then, and then we would pause it at the point, and we would begin to reflect on what we did last week and where we ended. I know this week we're beginning on listening to and teaching Dharma, which is again another beautiful section. And just before that, we were looking at all these teachings, and we were looking at taking them as personal advice. This is personal advice for us. And we talked before about how this is like a lineage of words. It's if we want to reach the source of the river or the source of the sea, we go right back to the snow line. We go right back, and like with these teachings, they go right back to Buddha Shakyamuni, brought right forward with an unbroken lineage of pure Dharma. We talked about that word before, the purity of the Dharma. And we have it here. We have this opportunity right here. It's right here. So we can see these words as just being ordinary words, or we can see these words as being precious now instructions on how to realize our own minds, and at the very least, how to pacify the crazy warped minds we have, the anger and the hostility and the attachment and the ignorance, the jealousy, the insecurities, all these delusions, whenever we're under the influence of them, how they just warp our vision, they warp our vision of our world. And as we purify our mind, our experience of the world is completely purified. We're beginning to see a more pure world out there, a world full of kindness and love and consideration, compassion, wisdom, by purifying our mind. So we can see these words as that Geshe-la's like talking to us. I mean, these words weren't just written, these words are personal advice. The personal advice to you, the personal advice to me. And we can take this as we read these as this is Geshe-la talking to us. It's not, not for, academics, it's not for scholars, as we said, it's for us, and to mix our mind with these words. So we can really not take it as personal advice, and then we can practice Lamrim. That was also the key thing. I mean, Lamrim will help us not solve all our problems, but Lamrim alone is not the wish fulfilling jewel. It's Lamrim practice. Our Lamrim practice, we talked about that sort of medicine cabinet, of all these different components, and we take them and we meditate, we contemplate on them, and we actually meditate on them, and we basically store them in our mind, and then whenever we need them, we just use them. And it's funny if we talk about this a little bit later in this class, but if we do this, it also, because the mind stream, this is our waking mind, and then there's our dream mind and our very subtle mind, but it also enters our dreaming world too. We can use these instructions work throughout the continuum of our mind. So it's quite extraordinary. So I'll get a meditation on that as well. We'll build this mind of universal compassion, the prayers, the request the blessings, really feel those blessings, even think, I'm receiving, if we don't like the word blessings, it's like I'm receiving this positive energy, this inspirational energy, this pure love, this pure compassion, pure kindness, with no strings attached. It's not, if you did this for me, others. It's just totally unconditional. It's completely pure. And we can just imagine that. The imagination is such a great thing. And this is like wisdom imagination. This isn't just, it just isn't ordinary imagination. It's not like a fantasy. This is the power of imagination. Yeah. So let's do this so we can maybe begin. I hope that sounds okay. Yeah, we can maybe just begin by just get into a posture that we can be comfortable in for the next while, for the next half an hour or so, maybe a little bit longer, 40 minutes. So if we're seated where our feet can be in the ground, feeling grounded, we can feel it, and our back can be straight but not feeling tense. And this helps us to remain alert. And we can have our hands in our lap. We can maybe have our right hand cupped into our left hand. The right hand symbolizing compassion, and the left hand symbolizing wisdom. And by doing this, we are bringing wisdom and compassion into our meditation. And we can allow our head and neck to remain aligned with the rest of our back. And we can gently close our eyes. And just allow our body to relax into this posture. And in doing so, we can tell ourselves that we have given this time for meditation. There's nothing we need to be thinking about from our day, from our past. And we can make a decision to let go of everything right up to this present moment. And go of anything on our mind from our past. We just make a decision, determination. I'm just going to let it go and forget everything. And we can also decide to forget about everything in our future, any problem solving or any future plans we have. We let go of everything beyond this moment. We just settle into now. And from here we can just naturally begin to focus on our breath. Just bringing our awareness to the subtle sensation of the air as we inhale and as we exhale through our nostrils. Just really feeling that air, that subtle energy, so precious, a life force. It's always with us. And we feel the cooler air in the inhale and the warmer air as you exhale. And focus single pointedly on this sensation. And as you focus your attention on this sensation, naturally your mind becomes calm and peaceful, still, tranquil. And we can drop our attention from our head to our heart center, to our spiritual heart, and really begin to tune in to that natural peace. And we can relax and remind ourselves that we are in no rush, there's no pressure. We can drop all expectations. And when our mind wanders to a thought or a feeling or a sensation or a sound, with compassion, we just bring it back to the breath, to the inhale and the exhale. And as we continue to focus our awareness on our breath, we can imagine that we bring our family and friends into this meditation. You can imagine them sitting with you, around you, together with the people that you work and live with. And we do this without judgment. We just imagine they're with us. And around them, we can bring in all the different people from all the different countries throughout the world. We just imagine. It doesn't have to be a perfect picture. Just imagine and be happy with the clarity or the lack of clarity of this image. We imagine all the different people from all around the world, the rich and the poor, the old and the young. Those in areas of unrest, famine and war, and those in areas of relative harmony and peace. We begin to imagine every living being, every human, animal, insect. And as you focus on all these living beings around you, mentally repeat, deep in your heart, may everybody be free from suffering. May everyone be free from suffering. May everyone be free from suffering. And you repeat this mentally, not verbally, from your heart, focused at your heart center. You think of all the living beings around you and mentally repeat, may everyone be free from suffering. And we do not meditate on compassion from a distance, observing all living beings far, far away. Feel your mind expands as your compassion expands. Feel your mind growing, filling the whole of space. Going to all those countries, all those people, all those living beings. And embracing every living being in their wish for them to be free from suffering. And as your mind begins to expand, filling the whole of space, your sense of self becomes smaller and smaller, becoming very tiny, until you're just compassion, filling the whole of space. And as your mind of universal compassion pervades the whole of space, embracing every living being, we can now mentally recite, listen to, and feel the meaning of the prayers for meditation.
Precious treasury of compassion, bestower of supreme inner peace, you love all beings without exception, are the source of happiness and goodness, and you guide us to as level as the palm of a hand, and as smooth as lapis lazuli. May all our space be filled with offerings from gods and men, both set out and imagined, like offerings of thee, O good one. In the space in front, on a lion throne, on a cushion of lotus on a moon, sits Buddha Shakyamuni, the essence of all my kind teachers, surrounded by the assembly of direct and indirect gurus, Yidams, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, heroes, solitary conquerors, heroes, dakinis, and Dharma protectors. I and all my kind mothers, fearing samsara's torments, turn to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the only sources of refuge. From now until enlightenment, to the three jewels we go for refuge. I and all sentient beings until we achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings until we achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings until we achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings until we achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings until we achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings until we achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings until we achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Through the virtues I collect by giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all. Through the virtues I collect by giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all. Through the virtues I collect by giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all. From the hearts of all refuge objects, lights and letters stream down and dissolve into myself and all living beings, purifying negative karma and obstructions, increasing our lives, our virtues, and Dharma realization. May everyone be happy. May everyone be free from misery. May no one ever be separated from their happiness. May everyone have equanimity, free from hatred and attachment. You, protector of all beings, great destroyer of hosts of demons, please, O blessed one, Lord of all, come to this place with your retinue. With my body, speech, and mind, humbly I prostrate, and make offerings both set out and imagined. I confess my wrong deeds from all time, and rejoice in the virtues of all. Please stay until samsara ceases, and turn the wheel of dharma for us. I dedicate all virtues to great enlightenment. The ground sprinkled with perfume and spread with flowers, the great mountain full of sun and moon, seen as a Buddha land and of the dust. May all beings enjoy such pure lands. I offer without any sense of loss the objects that give rise to my attachment, hatred, and confusion. My friends, enemies, and strangers are bodies and enjoyments. Please accept these and bless me to be released directly from the three poisons. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. So now, my most kind rude Guru, please sit on the lotus and moon on my crown, and grant me out of your great kindness, your body, speech, and mind's attainments. I make request to you, Buddha Shakyamuni, whose body comes from countless virtues, whose speech fulfills the hopes of mortals, whose mind sees clearly all existence. I make request to you, Gurus of the lineage of extensive deeds, Venerable Maitreya, Noble Sangha Vasubandhu, and all the other precious teachers who have revealed the path of vastness. I make request to you, Gurus of the lineage of profound view, Venerable Manjushri Nagarjuna Chandrakirti, and all the other precious teachers who have revealed the most profound path. I make request to you, Gurus of the lineage of secret mantra, Conqueror Vajradhara, Tilopa, and Naropa, and all the other precious teachers who have revealed the path of Tantra. I make request to you, Gurus of the old Kadam lineage, the second Buddha Tisha Drum Tomba Geshe Potawa, and all the other precious teachers who have revealed the union of vast and profound paths. I make request to you, Gurus of the new Kadam lineage, Venerable Sankapa Jampa Gyatso Kedruje, and all the other precious teachers who have revealed the union of Sutra and Tantra. I make request to you, Venerable Kelsang Gyatso, protector of a vast ocean of living beings, unequal teacher of the paths to liberation and enlightenment, who accomplish and explain everything that was revealed by the full deliverer of this fortunate eon. I make request to you, my kind precious teacher, who care for those with uncontrolled minds, untamed by all the previous Buddhas, as if they were fortunate disciples. Please pour down your inspiring blessings upon myself and all my mothers, so that we may quickly stop all perverse minds, from disrespect for our kind teacher, to the most subtle jewel appearance. Please pour down your inspiring blessings, so that we may quickly generate pure minds, from respect for our kind teacher, to the supreme mind of union. Please pour down your inspiring blessings, to pacify all outer and inner obstructions. Please pour down your inspiring blessings upon myself and all my mothers, so that we may quickly stop all perverse minds, from disrespect for our kind teacher, to the most subtle jewel appearance. Please pour down your inspiring blessings, so that we may quickly generate pure minds, from respect for our kind teacher, to the supreme mind of union. Please pour down your inspiring blessings, to pacify all outer and inner obstructions. Please pour down your inspiring blessings upon myself and all my mothers, so that we may quickly stop all perverse minds, from disrespect for our kind teacher, to the most subtle jewel appearance. Please pour down your inspiring blessings, so that we may quickly generate pure minds, from respect for our kind teacher, to the supreme mind of union. Please pour down your inspiring blessings, to pacify all outer and inner obstructions. From the hearts of all the holy beings, streams of light and nectar flow down, granting blessings and purifying. The path begins with strong reliance on my kind teacher, source of all good. Oh, bless me with this understanding to follow him with great devotion. This human life with all its freedoms extremely rare, with so much meaning. Oh, bless me with this understanding all day and night, to seize its essence. My body like a water bubble decays and dies so very quickly. After death come results of karma, just like the shadow of a body. With this firm knowledge and remembrance, bless me to be extremely cautious, always avoiding harmful actions and gathering abundant virtue. Samsara's pleasures are deceptive, give no contentment, only torment. So please bless me to strive sincerely to gain the bliss of perfect freedom. Oh, bless me so that from this pure thought come mindfulness and greatest caution, to keep as my essential practice the doctrine's root, the pratimosha. Just like myself, all my kind mothers are drowning in samsara's ocean. Oh, so that I may soon release them, bless me to train in bodhicitta. But I cannot become a Buddha by this alone, without three ethics. So bless me with the strength to practice the Bodhisattva's ordination, by pacifying my distractions and analyzing perfect meanings. Bless me to quickly gain the union of special insight and quiescence. When I become a pure container, through common paths, bless me to enter the essence practice of good fortune, the supreme vehicle, Vajrayana. The two attainments both depend on my sacred vows and my commitments. Bless me to understand this clearly and keep them at the cost of my life. By constant practice in full sessions, the way explained by holy teachers. Oh, bless me to gain both the stages which are the essence of the tantras. May those who guide me on the good path and my companions all have long lives. Bless me to pacify completely all obstacles, outer and inner. May I always find perfect teachers and take delight in holy Dharma. Accomplish all grounds and paths swiftly and gain a state of Vajradhara.
With the power of imagination, correct imagination, we imagine very strongly that our Guru is at our heart, and that all enlightened beings are bathing us in blessings of spiritual energy, positivity, inspiration. We imagine our mind vast and boundless, mixing with the minds of all enlightened beings. We imagine in our mind, we soar like an eagle, vast and boundless space, soaring in the blessings of compassion, purity, of impartiality, pure love, pure kindness, wisdom. We also imagine this is, in essence, our potentiality to become an enlightened being, to realize our own mind. We can become enlightened for the benefit of all living beings. And we have this opportunity, studying Lamrim, the pathway to enlightenment. And we can contemplate that we will take these words, the joyful path of good fortune, as personal advice to us, to me, and if we apply these Lamrim teachings to our daily life, we cannot be harmed. But reading Lamrim alone is not enough. We must practice the instructions, listen to, contemplate, remember, meditate, practice. Through the practice of Lamrim, we'll be able to apply the opponent to all our inner problems. So we make a determination for the next few minutes that I will practice Lamrim for the benefit of myself, my future enlightenment, for the benefit of all living beings. I will practice Lamrim. We contemplate these words from our heart. Whatever feeling arises from this determination to practice Lamrim for the benefit of all living beings, we meditate on this single pointedly. And for the last couple of minutes, with our minds mixed with the blessings of all enlightened beings, vast, boundless, we meditate. I will practice Lamrim for the benefit of all living beings. And then we can gently begin to relax our concentration. And when ready, we can arise from meditation. Okay, so the next part of this book is it's listening to and teaching Dharma. And we might think, I know how to listen. Thank you very much. But it's, and we're going to explore this in terms of what is, it's not about what is listening tonight, but really because it's so interesting because at the Spring Festival this year, Geshe's message, and I have it here in front of me, but his message was entitled The Benefits of Listening to Dharma Teachings. So it's directly related to what we're going to be talking about, what we're going to be listening to right now. And I thought I would read it out to you. Some of it's already in the book, but I thought I would read out exactly what it says. And maybe as we're doing this, we can consider, like, why would Geshe be advising us at this time, especially in these unusual times of everything that's happened, of the benefits of listening to Dharma teachings, you know, of everything that he could have said at this point. The presentation was really the benefits of listening to Dharma teachings. So I'll just read out what it says. So it says that this is just a little aside. It says, when we memorize Dharma books and sadhanas, we are storing huge precious jewels of Dharma in the store of our mind. For us, Dharma will come naturally from our mind day and night, even during our sleep. This is because the treasury of our mind will be full of the jewels of Dharma, which will never decrease. And the more we use them, the more they will increase. So it says at the beginning of the International Spring Festival 2020, a special message from Venerable Geshe Kelsang Gyatso Rinpoche was shared. Venerable Geshe's message. Hello to all the international Kadampa community. I would like to offer you the following message based on the stories of rebirth by Ira Sura. I would like to explain the benefits of listening to Dharma teachings, which are: listening to Dharma teachings is a great light that eliminates the darkness of our own and others' ignorance. Listening to Dharma teachings is the best wealth that cannot be stolen by thieves and that gives real meaning to our human life. Listening to Dharma teachings is a weapon that destroys the enemy of confusion. Listening to Dharma teachings is our best friend who will never deceive us and from whom we receive our best advice. Listening to Dharma teachings is a relative and friend who remains loyal even when we are impoverished. Listening to Dharma teachings is the supreme medicine that cures the disease of uncontrolled desire, anger, and ignorance. Listening to Dharma teachings is a powerful opponent that destroys all false. Listening to Dharma teachings is the best treasure because it is the foundation of all fame and resources. Listening to Dharma teachings is the best gift through which we can benefit all living beings. Listening to Dharma teachings is the best method to make countless living beings happy. Please memorize, contemplate the meaning again and again, and then put into practice day by day, month by month, and year by year. I will also pray for you and your families with much love. Geshe Kelsang Gyatso. So that is Geshe's method, or his message to us. So I feel, and you may too, it's particularly important to begin to look at this, and in terms of this part of the book, this particular section of the book, and it explains those a little bit further as we will actually look at that a wee bit this evening. But I was thinking and reading, what would be the intention for Geshe to give us this? What would be, why is he telling us to listen to Dharma teachings? What is his intention behind that? And I guess we can all contemplate that to ourselves, but I think that what's important before we even begin to read this chapter, if we're listening to anything, even if we're going to speak to a friend, if a friend wants to speak to us, and maybe we've already made our own mind up about them, or we've already contemplated what, maybe there's been a problem, they want to actually meet us, and we've already conjured or ruminated or thought about this a lot, ruminating this a lot. And by the time we actually meet them, our minds are already confused with all the different ideas we have. So by the time we meet them, we're not listening. We're not ready to listen. We're ready to make our point. We're ready to get our point across. And maybe we're partially listening. Maybe we've done this in the past. Maybe we've someone says, I want to say something to you. And we've thought, oh, I've got the wrong end of this already. I thought they were going to come from this angle. And we're already thinking, God, I just wasted my time thinking of what this was going to be about. And I guess what I was thinking is that if we're going to listen, first of all, even to that person, we need to listen as if our mind is like a blank page. It's like if we're going to truly listen from our heart, it's like our mind's like this blank page. That everything is very clear. We've got clarity in our mind. And we can think of this whenever we're listening to Dharma as well. This is where I'm coming from, really, is that if we're listening to Dharma, we come with a blank page nearly. And with this clarity or with this openness to listen, to understand. Because whenever we're like this, whenever we've got that intention of coming in to listen, it's like a blank page. We're not listening with our previous preconceived ideas or opinions, or maybe we're coming into thinking, I've heard this before. We're like, oh, I've done this before. I've done this actually meditation before, or I've done this chapter before. We're not coming in with that. We're not coming in with thinking, I know something or a particular view. I remember we were saying last week about we all have our views and we think our views are right. Generally, we think what we think's right. And we hang about with people who've got similar views, and we're friends because we share similar views. And then if we disagree in views, it can cause conflict and a bit of antagonism, and it can take a bit of time to get over. Or we part friendships because somebody had a different view from us. So I'm just going to encourage that we listen, or at least contemplate listening without these views. We can leave them for a little while and then we can bring them in again. Because if we're doing that, if we're listening with these preconceptions or these previews already there, sort of like a trailer for a movie or something, we already know what's going to happen, or we already listening for things that we don't agree with, or listening for things even that we do agree with. We're listening with like fresh ears, nearly with a fresh heart. Otherwise, it's like kind of like trying to paint, make a painting where the canvas already has a painting. It becomes like a very confused picture. It's like I remember at school we had like a board where you could write things on with chalk. Um, and the teacher would get up and he or she would write on this board with the chalk, and then at some point they had to like wipe it clean with a cloth or with a duster, and it was like cleaned again. If you try to write over that writing, or if it come like squeezing in the space, it became very, very confused looking. And for us as pupils, or like sort of like basically a student, it was great to have that blank board, that blank screen that we could actually begin from and we could see more clearly. So it's a bit like that. It's a bit like we're like, just coming into this with a clear mind. It's like a fresh heart. Not with what I think I already know, or even what I think I don't know. It's not even coming into this with like confusion. We're coming in with like, it's like a blank sheet, like we've rubbed our slate clear, and we're just going to actually listen. We're kind of listening from our heart. And I think if we do that, we begin from that perspective, our questions also become clearer. If we have any questions, if we've got questions that are coming from confusion, like with all these different, it's like painting over the canvas that already has a painting, or over that board that's really got all that chalk over it. It's like our questions, where our questions will be confused, and we don't want to be more confused at all. And we don't want our questions. We want our questions to have that clarity as well. And I think especially for these instructions too, in terms of actually method instructions too, because what we're saying is pretty much very different from normal view. It's like everyone's running this way, as I said, and we're saying, no, look this way. It's like look in this direction in terms of actually where we're actually coming from. So maybe that's, it's something to consider. Not just for this, but also if we're meeting people, doing things, that we just decide I'm going to listen with like a blank page. It's like a blank page. I'm going to listen. It almost gives that listen, like, so that listening, like a purity. It's like I'm listening with, anyway. So let's continue here. So this is page 30. So it's listening to and teaching Dharma. So it begins with the explanation of how to listen to and teach Dharma. So it says that traditionally, disciples learn Dharma by first listening to oral instructions from a spiritual guide. Since listening is the basis for contemplating and meditating on Dharma, it is especially important to listen well, with an open and attentive mind, and in such a way as to be able to remember the instructions and reflect upon them once the discourse is ended. So listening, it's in here, is to do with the mind. It's to do with our intention and our attention. It's not to do with our body. And it's part of our mental consciousness. And it's saying to listen with an open and attentive mind. And that's, we could say, to listen with an open and attentive heart, with an open heart. This is everything. Like, heart's everything here. If we listen with an open heart, it's such a beautiful thing if we begin to listen and let the words mix, to touch our heart, to let the meaning touch our heart. As we said before, like, we can take these instructions that Geshe has written them for us personal advice. They've written them for you. They've written them for me. You know, we can read this as if Geshe-la's writing this for us, as if he's even saying these words to us. You know, and we've got this open heart. Like, to listen from our heart is to let the Dharma go in. It's like without barriers or without preconceptions. And it might be a big ask for us because we're used to being guarded first, you know, like prove it. And again, this is not blind faith. It isn't saying like, don't question, totally question, but it's saying practice, you know, make up your mind, you know, listen to it. And then he's saying like, yeah, contemplate, meditate, you know, like let it soak into our hearts and see how it moves our mind. We can see this from our meditations. You know, if we meditate on anything and we let it touch our heart, if we meditate in love for just 5 minutes, our view of the world changes very much, very, very quickly. Meditate on universal compassion, our view of the world changes very, very quickly. We can get calls. You know, we can be on one of these automated calls which says press 1 if you want, press 2, whatever. And we can be waiting, and we can keep this mind of like cherishing that person at the other end. Whenever that person comes to the phone and we actually speak to a person, even though there's been a sort of automated voice telling us what to kind of do and who to press, if we have this, if we keep this mind of cherishing the person, I'm going to cherish this person who answers this phone eventually. It's a very different conversation than us getting angry and getting impatient, getting irritated. Don't you know how long I've been waiting? And then if they say, can you just like hold for another minute? Or you're in the wrong area, you're in the wrong department. You know, it's like we can go off the handle very, very quickly. So we contemplate and we meditate on these words. And then we can make up our mind after that. You know, is this working for me? Is it not? Is it something I want to practice? This is not about blind faith. Please hear that. Whenever we have the opportunity to receive oral discourses on Dharma, we should apply these instructions on how to listen. So listening is about getting the meaning. You know, like dogs can hear and they can understand actually as well. You know, you can speak to your dog or to your cat, and they can hear us. But this is like a letting the meaning, listening with that intention and that attention, and letting the meaning actually touch our hearts, you know, without the barriers, without the preconceptions, you know, that contemplation and that actually meditation. Continues that they can easily be adapted to our situation. As a reader, the great meditator Nangawang Dragpa said, the instruction of how to listen to each Dharma is a method for transforming listening and teaching into the spiritual path. It is also a supreme instruction to give as a preliminary to teachings. Therefore, keep it in your heart. So this the best preliminary instruction on the way to the right way to teach and listen to Dharma is to cherish it. You know, like these precious words. You know, it's turning that ordinary into like extraordinary again, and thinking maybe you're like already there and thinking this is extraordinary. This is an extraordinary opportunity. You know, I have this precious life. I have this extraordinary opportunity right now. Maybe we're developing faith, you know, maybe we're deepening our faith, and maybe we're just beginning with our faith. We're actually growing faith or beginning to experiment a bit with it. We're looking for these answers. These answers cannot be found in the ordinary. They're found in the extraordinary. And if we listen with this intention and attention, saying it's a method of transforming listening and teaching in spiritual path. So if we get this right, you know, we have that clear mind, that clear slate, that board that's been cleaned, you know, we're listening, you know, it'll direct us on that spiritual path which we're looking for. We contemplate and we then actually meditate. The instructions are in three parts. One, how to listen to Dharma. Two, how to teach Dharma. And three, the concluding sage comment to the teacher and the student. So, how to listen to Dharma. This is three parts where we considering, which is to contemplate, considering the benefits of listening to Dharma, two, developing respect for Dharma and its teacher, and three, the actual way to listen to Dharma. So the function of listening here is to understand. It's to actually to actually remember it. You may have picked up from Geshe-la's instructions in this, where he's advising us to actually memorize this. It's to actually remember it. He very often says, it says like, please memorize, contemplate the meaning again and again. And what that's meaning is that whenever we've read and we're beginning to, we're actually listening throughout, and we're actually remembering. We can think as we go on, like, how much have I actually remembered? It means that whenever we close our book and we go away, that it's not like if we haven't remembered anything, if we haven't memorized anything, it's gone. At this point, we might be thinking, wow, this is great, or wow, this is interesting, we'll explore this, or wow, this is extraordinary. But then we close the book and we go into our ordinary lives and we're not bringing it with us. It's not actually in our heart. So it's beginning to let this deeply resonate right here. And as it says, if we can carry it into our dreams, into our sleep, considering the benefits of listening to Dharma, if we contemplate some of the countless benefits of listening to Dharma, we will naturally enjoy listening to and reading the instructions. And we will do so with an especially keen interest. The result of listening and reading in such a positive frame of mind is that we will actually experience all the benefits we have contemplated. In a collection of many special verses by Buddha Shakyamuni called Shom, in Tibetan it says, by listening, and this means by listening to Dharma. By listening, you will know all dharmas. By listening, you will cease all non-virtuous actions. By listening, you will abandon all that is meaningless. By listening, you will attain a liberation. So it's saying by listening, you will know all dharmas, you will understand dharmas. By listening, we will cease all virtuous actions. It means we can modify our behavior. What is causing me suffering? What's causing me happiness? What's creating suffering in the world? What is happening? It develops as we begin to understand very clearly about karma and how we can then actually modify our own behavior so it's virtuous. We abandon all that is meaningless. I can only speak from my own experience of like much of my life is like meaningless. It's like I could name it, and a lot of it begins with like scrolling the like scroll of doom, as I heard someone talk, where you're scrolling constantly. The next thing you know, you've wasted 3 hours of your life. And that element as well of listening with a blank slate, or that like clear page, whatever the expression. It's like there's so many. We're reading so much these days. Like everything that's on the internet, we're getting so many messages. So many different viewpoints, aspects, and it's fine reading those. But then if we bring them into this, it's like that board at school. It's got so much on it. And then we're reading something else, we're listening to something else. It causes so much confusion. And our questions also are coming from confusion. Whereas if we just clean that, even temporarily, our questions are coming from clarity. There's more clarity there. Here the term dharmas refers specifically to the meaning of Dharma instructions. The meaning of Dharma reveals what objects are to be abandoned, what objects are to be practiced, and so forth. By listening to Dharma instructions, we will understand the meaning of Dharma clearly, and we will gradually gain Dharma realizations. Like we want this, we want these realizations. And this is by saying that very listening to Dharma instructions, listening, listening from our heart. Every pure Dharma realizations arises in dependence upon meditation, and successful meditation depends upon receiving correct instructions. So we want to listen, just in summary, we want to listen, we want to understand, we want to remember, we want to contemplate, we want to meditate, and we want to realize. If we do that, we will definitely have realizations. Definitely. As explained, all the instructions of Sutra and Tantra are included within the three sets of Buddhist teachings. By receiving, this word like receiving, am I actually receiving? It's like listening becomes like receiving. By receiving and practicing the instructions on the set of moral discipline, we will cease non-virtuous actions. By receiving and practicing the instructions on the set of discourses where Buddha explains how to attain concentration, we will abandon all meaningless activities and distractions and obstacles to concentration. Imagine beginning to, I don't know about you, but there's so much my concentration can easily go. It's my mind wants to go anywhere, but on that object. So this is like we will we will abandon all meaningless activities, distractions, and obstacles to concentration. Brilliant, wonderful. By receiving and practicing the instructions on the set of wisdom, we will attain liberation. In Stories of Rebirth, Ayurveda mentions the following benefits of listening. So as we said from Geshe, listening, and these are explained a little bit further. Listening is a lamp that dispels the darkness of ignorance. And remember, this is listening to Dharma. Listening is the best wealth that cannot be taken, or that cannot be stolen by thieves. It's the best inner possession that we can have. It can't, nobody can take it from us. Even death, whenever death arrives, we have this wisdom in our heart. We have this wisdom in our mind. This is what we're bringing actually with us. This is the best wealth, like the best wealth that we can have. Listening is a weapon that destroys our enemies of confusion, the inner delusions. If we get rid of the inner delusions and of the misapprehension, we gain enlightenment. This is the weapon. Listening is our best friend, whom we receive the best advice. So it's advice which is unmistaken. We can always rely on that. Listening is a relative and friend who remains loyal even whenever we are impoverished. Listening is a harmless medicine that cures the disease of delusion. Listening is the supreme opponent that destroys great faults. Listening is the best treasure because it is the foundation of all fame and resources. Listening is the best gift that we can offer to our friends. So if we could apply this to our lives and this practice, and then we're able to apply it, we're able to help our friends, rather than getting caught up in problems and just giving fire to problems, we can share Dharma, these inner realizations, this inner Dharma we have, these opponents, we can share it. We can help other people. Listening to Dharma, listening is the best means by pleasing many people. So if we think if it's like, just come back to the one of listening is our best friend to whom we receive the best advice. And remember the story earlier of King Yeshua, and whenever he was in prison and he was dying, and he was but he was so determined, his determination was there. He was imprisoned. He knew he was going to actually die, but he was so determined. Like, where did that come from? came from basically his knowledge of Dharma. That's why he could be so resilient and so strong, even facing death. It was his Dharma that actually helped him with that. It was the determination, reading Dharma and listening to Dharma. So let's carry on. So listening, just beginning with the first one, listening is a lamp that dispels the darkness of ignorance. So it says that nothing is more important than to remove ignorance, which is the main cause of all our suffering and the root from which all our delusions arise. Ignorance is an inner darkness that is removed by the illuminating lamp of listening to Dharma. So we have this ignorance. I think it's the main cause of all our suffering, this self-grasping ignorance, this confusion, and ignorance as the inner darkness is actually removed by the illuminating lamp of listening to Dharma. Listening is the best wealth that cannot be stolen by thieves. Whenever we accumulate ordinary wealth and material resources, our life becomes full of practical problems and anxieties. And we all know this. We live in fear of losing our wealth, and to maintain it, we have to work hard, even sometimes having to deceive others. We have to pay taxes and spend time and energy working out how to use our wealth and where to invest it. However, the wealth of listening to Dharma never causes problems. I don't know about you, but even listening to that is like a soothing. It's like it soothes. It can never be lost, even when we offer it freely to others. The more we give away, the richer we become. After death, it is the only wealth that we can carry with us. Unlike worldly wealth, it benefits all future lives as well as this one. So we've got this, battle, like basically material wealth, the wealth of listening. And we're all direct. I mean, everything we do is towards outer wealth, everything. I'm speaking for myself, but it's getting caught up in happiness externally and thinking this is going to make me happy. And this wealth of Dharma, it's the best wealth. Basically, listening to Dharma is the best wealth. The Tibetan teachers are living examples of the great value of listening to Dharma. When they were forced to flee Tibet, they left everything behind, including even their begging bowls. But nothing could force them to part with their wealth of listening to Dharma. This will always remain with them. It is the very wealth that they are now giving to their Western students, the only wealth that can survive death and external destruction. So as we were saying earlier with Lam Rim, particularly the practice of Lam Rim, this is saying and Geshe saying that nothing can harm us. Any destruction, like this is like these Tibetan teachers lost everything, but their wealth of Dharma, it was exponential. The more they give, the more they get, the more they put out. It's just like the exponential benefit of it is extraordinary. It's one of these extraordinary things where we're like focused. Everything we're focused on is actually material, and we think immaterial. We say that's immaterial. We look for kind of actually material and actually immaterial. We're looking for blessings. We're looking for listening. We're looking for the Dharma. We're looking for the realizations, for the contemplation, for the meditation. It's nothing that we can touch. It's nothing like, it's not actually material. This is a book, but this word and this meaning, everything in it, it's like the benefits of what's usually the Western world, like discourage anything immaterial. We say it's immaterial. This is great wealth. Listening is a relative and friend who remains loyal even when we are impoverished. Excuse me. When we experience severe misfortune and great suffering, there is very little that our friends and relatives can do. At such time, only the spiritual advice that we have received will come to our aid. Uh, Remember the example of Yeshua, who was able to confront death with equanimity upon relying upon the good advice and encouragement he had received from spiritual guides. If we listen to or read many Dharma instructions, we too can transform the difficulties we experience into the spiritual path and use them to increase our wisdom. Our problems are opportunities to observe and contemplate the law of actions and their effects, the law of karma. They are opportunities to contemplate suffering and its causes and to practice patience and joyful perseverance. At such times, if we apply the Dharma that we have heard and read, we will find that it is a true friend, enabling us to maintain our practice uninterruptedly and with joy. Again, I just find this extraordinary. Like we can transform any adversity, any pain, any sickness, even the prospect of death. If we get a diagnosis, we can use Dharma. We can use Dharma to transform pain into compassion for all living beings. It's this abandoning kind of actually meaningless things. We can really like to still like that experiment at school, to still what is the meaning of my life? What is actually meaningful? Um, so that whenever, and I mean, we are going to suffer, it's not, we are going to get sick, we are getting older, we are going to actually die. Um, it's inevitable. Um, but this, our pathway on to spiritual guide, our listening, this listening to Dharma again, without barriers or without preconceptions, listening to it, extracting its meaning, getting the essence, meditating, contemplating, memorizing, based meditating, having realizations, using everyday examples of our life. We go out, things happen, we can apply Dharma to it. Just, I can't see the clock. Bear with me. Sorry. Just run over time. I'll maybe just finish the next paragraph and then we'll finish. Our ordinary friends and relatives are of no help when we experience great suffering. Sometimes they even abandon us in our greatest need. When Lama Kachin Yeshe Gyatso was practicing meditation in his cave, he was as poor as Milarepa. One day he was traveling to Tashilumpo monastery, and on his way he saw one of his uncles. His uncle, noticing how impoverished his nephew seemed to be, pretended not to know him. Later, Lama Gachin Yeshe Gyatso was promoted to the position of tutor of the 8th Dalai Lama. Thinking that his nephew must now be very wealthy, this uncle went to visit him and declared, "Hello, nephew. I'm your uncle." Yeah, maybe the next paragraph's connected as well. Once a man who was at first very poor and without friends or relatives became rich by engaging in business. People began to visit him, pretending to be his friends or claiming to be his relatives. One day, this man invited all his new friends and relatives to dinner. In the middle of the table, he placed a huge sack containing all the money he had accumulated. When his guests arrived, he made solemn prostrations to the sack and recited these words of praise. O Lord Money, through your great kindness, I now have many friends and relatives, when previously I had none. Therefore, I make prostrations to you. Ordinary friends and relatives can change their feelings and attitudes toward us largely depending upon whether or not we possess wealth and good fortune. But our friend of listening to Dharma will not let us down. It comes to our aid when we are prosperous, and it comes to our aid when we are poor. It is the only friend that will endure death with us and support us all in our future lives until we attain enlightenment. Okay, so let's leave it there, and maybe I'll go into some breakout rooms, and you can have a discussion. Maybe reflections on what you've heard, and maybe we can do this for the next 10 minutes. Okay, thank you.